29 bags of bentgrass. Talk about a bentgrass beatdown. Hey guys and gals, welcome to Garage Gear. I'm JB. And before we beat this bentgrass up, if you're feeling the vibe and you want to be part of the tribe, subscribe. In this video, I'm going to show you how I wipe out bentgrass in my lawn. Stick around. My lawn is predominantly made up of perennial ryegrass, Kentucky bluegrass, turf-type tall fescue, and a little fine fescue. These grasses like to stand tall, and I generally mow them between 2.5 and 3 inches in height. But some ugly bent grass is creeping its way in. Bent grass or creeping bent grass tend to be a little bit more unsightly, laying over on itself while the rest of the lawn reaches up for the sky. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Look at that. The mower misses this completely. This is nuts. This nonsense actually makes mowing more difficult and your striping very inconsistent. Bent grass tends to grow in patches like this, and then it'll send stolons or runners out into the lawn, spreading further and further every single year. Bent grass is great for golf courses, but horrible for a home lawn when it creeps in. You may be asking yourself, how did it get into my lawn? Well, it probably got there from some junky grass seed long ago. I know that's how it got into mine. Take a good look at this grass sample really quick. Here's a normal looking blade of grass from my lawn. Its growth pattern, color, and shape are consistent across the entire length of the blade. Now this is bent grass. Notice that the top inch is green, followed by this long exposed root or stem. Hence the name creeping bent grass, because this stuff just creeps really low across your soil surface. And lately I've been taking a leaf blower to push the bent grass up. Then when you mow it, you generally get this big brown spot because you just cut off all the green ends. Over time, you start to get a lot of these spots across your yard, and your lawn doesn't look so nice. Look here, as I pull this bent grass up, we can see that the grass down deep kind of grows down and then up. I hate this stuff. This is what drives me nuts here early in the morning. Check this out. Bent grass, bent grass, bent grass. The morning dew really makes this stuff stand out. More bent grass, more bent grass. This area is really bad over here. Big patch right here, big patch right here, more bent grass. 2 to 3 years ago, I dug this whole area out because this was a really bad spot. Now the bent grass has formed this big circle around the new patch of grass, and some is starting to poke through the middle. Unbelievable. Some say that it's best to attack this problem early in the spring. Products that I'm going to be using today state that it's best to attack this in the fall. I'm doing this in the fall because I can see exactly where all my patches have developed over the course of the season. Plus, once I get the new grass seed in, I really won't have to contend with many weeds. It is time for this bent grass to go. So here's my plan. I'm going to focus on 3 main areas of my lawn. I will be concentrating my efforts on the front lawn, my front parkway, and part of my side yard. These 3 areas are going to total about 4,500 square feet. If you are interested in learning how to measure your lawn and creating a lawn layout like I did, I'll have a video link down below on that. I'm sick of this grass, and here's how we are going to knock this out. We're going to crush this bent grass with tenacity. Tenacity is a selective herbicide recommended for knocking out bent grass. I'm going to spike this tenacity with a surfactant, which will basically help the tenacity stick and do a better job. I'm also going to mix in a little laser blue. This temporary dye will help me know where I previously sprayed. The blue will fade and usually not stain anything. I would recommend wearing your sacrificial pants. Sacrifice them for the job. Now here's how I mix everything. I used a rechargeable battery backpack sprayer. This will pump out a consistent fan spray as I go across my entire designated area. It was one of the cheapest battery-powered backpack sprayers I could find on Amazon, and it seemed to do the job just fine. I'll have this bad boy linked down below for you. I pre-filled the 4-gallon sprayer up to about the 3/4 mark with water. Here's the rate I used. I used 0.05 teaspoons of tenacity in 1 gallon of water to treat 1,000 square feet. So I put in 2 teaspoons of tenacity for my 4 gallons. Then 4 teaspoons of my surfactant went in at a rate of 1 teaspoon per gallon. And finally, my laser blue went in at a rate of 1/2 ounce per gallon, so 2 ounces went in. I'm then going to put the screen back in, then I'm going to put my hose on a trickle and let it fill to the 4 gallons. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a gentle shake to agitate it. I'm ready, baby. Let's turn the lawn blue. Let's go! Before I sprayed, I thought it would be a good idea to get any leaves off my lawn. I also decided to use the leaf blower to push up any bent grass. I figured this would expose as much of the bent grass plant to the chemical when I was spraying it. As you make your passes with the fan tip sprayer, simply walk up and down your lawn in a grid. Gently kiss the laser blue right up to the previous pass. One good passing spray should be all you need. I walked my lawn at a slow and steady speed, making sure I covered any areas of bent grass I could see. Also make sure that there is no rain in the forecast for about 24 hours. And keep people and pets off your lawn for at least 6 hours. Here you can see that all the bentgrass is now pretty blue and fully coated. Now we play the waiting game. Let's check back in about 2 weeks and see where we're at. Well, it's gotta get ugly before it gets better. Even the garage gal said the lawn looks ugly. I really hope the neighbors are enjoying their time on top. The bentgrass is now bleached white. To be clear, it did turn a shade of yellow first and then became a bleached shade of white. There is quite a bit here around this mountain ash. We got this one defined spot plus a lot of faint stuff spread here throughout. These spots over here look terrible. Bright white, brownish white, white spots zigzagging all throughout up here. And remember this spot over here that I mentioned that I dug out a long time ago to replace it? Well, guess what? Now you can clearly see the bentgrass growing right around it. This is exactly why digging it out is not worth it, because it's gonna come right back. There are still some patches here that still have a little bit of a ways to go. I knew I had a bentgrass problem, but I didn't know I had this much. The cool thing is that tenacity is actually highlighting all the spots for me. Now the tenacity did have its effect on the bentgrass, but it also slightly affected some of the other grass around my yard as well. This part of my turf should rebound just fine. So you may be asking yourself, JB, now what? Well, we're gonna hit it again. We're gonna reload. We're gonna use the same rates as earlier. Oh, we're not messing around. Now that I can see the patches, that's all we're gonna hit this time. At this point, there's no sense in spraying the chemicals where the problem isn't. This should really speed up the process of killing all the bentgrass. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it. It is now 2 weeks since our last application of tenacity, and check out the lawn. A lot of this bentgrass is turning whitish brown. It's now pulling right out. Check out the mess over here. And then as we take a walk, take a look at this. Look, look, look. Oh my goodness. Big white patches all over the place. That tenacity, I'll tell you, that's powerful stuff. These big patches got to come out. Big patches over here. So after that second application, you can really see that the tenacity highlights all the bentgrass. Yeah, sure, it's easy to spray everything with tenacity and kill it off, but here's the hard part. You got to rip it all out. This is the part that not many want to talk about. Today marks the big dig, or the great rake, whatever you want to call it. All this bentgrass has to come out. I'm going to be using my dethatching rake. This is going to do an excellent job of really digging in and ripping out all this bentgrass. And if we take a look, this stuff is actually coming right out. Look at that. Look at these strands. They're well over a foot long. All right, I'm carb loaded, hydrated, and stretched out. Let's go. What a workout. A lot of this is coming right up. Any grass that kind of sticks hard, that's a good grass. Any grass that's peeling up like a rug, that's a bentgrass. If you take a look, here's my wheelbarrow after one patch of bentgrass. I'm gonna have a mountain of this stuff. It's also important to keep in mind that you may have a small patch of bentgrass, but you also have stolons that are reaching out far from that original patch. So you really should dig out around that patch of bentgrass or where it originated. I want to show you guys something. Take a close look in here. Look at the web of roots this stuff creates. It's ridiculous. This is why it takes over and it just sends out these stolons and they just keep creeping all underneath your grass line. You can't see it, and eventually it covers your entire yard. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the digging, or raking, is officially done. I've been working on this steadily for the past several hours, digging up as much bentgrass as I could find. I'm sweating, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm a little smelly, but you know what? It's done. Time to seed. 29 bags of bentgrass. Talk about a bentgrass beatdown. Now it's time to overseed. The soil is opened up. I chose not to add any additional soil at this time. New soil can affect the color of the new grass coming up. I will be adding new soil when I level my lawn in the spring. I'll talk more about that later in the video. All the previous bentgrass areas are getting fully seeded with Jonathan Green Black Beauty. This is great grass seed, and I'm also overseeding my entire front lawn too. This awesome grass seed comes up every time relatively quick. It blends well with the existing turf, and this should help even everything out. Next up will be starter fertilizer. Any starter fertilizer will do. This one is high in nitrogen with 24, 25 for phosphorus, and 4 for potassium. This bag covers 5,000 square feet, so I should have a little bit left over when I'm done. I needed to push some serious growth here. Starter fertilizer should do just that. My seeding window here in the fall is dwindling down, so I gotta get some grass up quick. I also threw down some organic worm castings to help expedite the process. This is a great organic fertilizer. In a few weeks when this kicks in, it will provide tons of superb nutrients. I did a video not too long ago on the benefits of worm casting, and I'll have it linked down below. Last but not least, we're spreading out some peat moss to help cover that seed and help retain some moisture. One cool thing about peat moss is that it will look brown when it's dry, indicating that you need to water that area. When it's wet, it turns black. This will hold the seed in place and keep the seed wetter longer. Another key ingredient to all of this is water. I have been out here watering at least once a day for the last couple days, and I will continue to do so for about the next 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully Mother Nature will step in and help me out with a rain shower or two. 5 days later. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the results. Surrounding grass is thickening up. All of my seeded spots are looking good. I'll show you more up close what they look like in just a minute. As I look closer at the lawn, there are still some white spots popping up. There are 2 things with that. Number 1, this is a lot of territory to cover, and there are a few white spots that I missed when I was digging out or raking out all that bent grass. Number 2, some of the surrounding grass has finally turned white after a short delay. No big deal, I can catch those now. I'll just hit them with the weed trimmer and then reseed those little areas to get some grass up fast. Always got a backup plan. Now let's zoom in, shall we? I got something to show you. The perennial rye grass seed is starting to germinate just after 5 days. That Jonathan Green Black Beauty is an awesome mix of perennial rye, turf type tall fescue, and Kentucky blue. The other grass seed should germinate in about 21 days. Our temperatures here in Buffalo have been absolutely perfect. Let's see how this lawn looks in another week or so. On this day, I set my lawnmower at 3 inches and I gave it a mow. This was the first mow in about a month. I decided to use the brand new Honda HRN 216 VKA to mow instead of the Time Master because it's lightweight. The point of this mow was to get on and get off as quickly as possible while minimizing harm to the new grass. Weighing less than 100 pounds, this mower was the right choice. Be sure to check out the playlist I did on this mower called Make Your Mower Last a Lifetime. I'll have it linked down below for you. From far away, that lawn's looking great. I ripped out a lot of turf here. And when you rip out a lot of turf, chances are good that you'll need to touch up some areas with some seed. Looking up close, there's about a dozen or so spots across the lawn that are just taking their sweet time filling in. I need to touch up this area right here, spot here, another one. I'll throw more seed into these areas, but here's the issue. Winter is getting closer and closer by the day, which means my seeding window is quickly diminishing. I chose to use another grass seed at this time because I need it to germinate fast. This Greenview perennial ryegrass comes up fast in about 5 to 7 days. It will blend nicely with the rest of the lawn, and it should harden off its roots just in time for winter. I'll have this grass seed also linked down below in the description. Now I could wait and see if the Kentucky Blue or the turf type tall fescue in that Jonathan Green Black Beauty mix come up, and throwing down some perennial ryegrass could cause some overcrowding. Well, something will come up. May the strongest seed survive. I covered it with a little bit more peat moss, and we were all set. I also threw down another dose of fertilizer. I happened to be at Home Depot the other day and they had this Milorganite clone that was a little cheaper. This organic fertilizer is called Eco Scraps. Basically, it's just another human poop fertilizer just like Milorganite. It's just slightly lower in the NPK rating, but that's okay because I'm just spoon feeding the lawn a little extra nitrogen at a time here. I spent enough money on this project and I figured I'd give this a shot. Giving the lawn some extra nitrogen in the fall isn't a bad thing. It will help stimulate last-minute growth as the lawn wraps up this season. Plus, it has some iron to give it some nice dark green color that will last throughout the winter. 10 days later, and here we are. Many of the bare spots have now filled themselves in. Now I just have to contend with all the leaves coming down. My lawn is now back on top of its game. It's thick, it's green, it's healthy. And the best part is, when I wake up in the morning and look at the lawn, there is no bent grass in sight. Frosty, frosty, frosty. This has happened for about 3 straight mornings now. The whole next week coming up is much warmer though, and the lawn hasn't checked out yet. It's still pushing growth as we speak. I don't see any bent grass out there. Even with the frost on it, this looks terrific. Even over on this side, nothing. Looks great. So here are my final thoughts. After completing this bent grass beatdown, the lawn is most certainly unlevel now. As I mentioned earlier, I will probably be doing a lawn leveling video in the spring. This area here is kind of low in some spots, and then there are a few spots over here as well. I definitely want some soil in that mix to help fill in these areas throughout the lawn. I already found a local company that sells a soil, compost, and sand mix, which will be absolutely perfect for leveling. That'll add plenty of organic matter to this lawn too. We're busting out the leveling rake for that job, so stay tuned. On the day that I was ripping out all the bent grass, one neighbor was passing by and he said, hey, why not just glyphosate the whole front lawn and start fresh? That could have been a possibility, but from my experience, old grass is the best grass. It's resilient. Its roots are well established and reach down deep. This lawn is decades old and rebounds fast after any repair. Would I do this again? Not on this big of a scale. If you are planning on doing this project, be sure that your schedule can allow time to do this. This project took the better part of 2 months to complete, and I would strongly recommend doing small sections at a time. Perhaps do one section in the spring, another in the fall, and so on. This is definitely a project that will get some looks. I had dozens of neighbors walking by asking what the hell I was doing to my lawn. It's all for YouTube, I swear. Some people just don't understand. When I tried explaining to them, they all just shook their heads. But when the lawn recovered, they were all amazed by how fast and how well it bounced back. This lawn looks awesome, and I'm extremely happy I took the time to do this. The lawn stripes are gonna be dialed in next spring for sure. If you enjoyed this video, give me one of these. For more cool garage gear content, check out my video links right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the garage.